So the last lecture we finished section 13. The last thing that we did was section 13 subsection 9. Now the one thing remaining to discuss in the chapter of charitable trust is this section 115 EBC. What have we done so far? We've seen section 11, that's the main section. Section 12A, 12AA, which talks about the procedure of registration. And section 13, which tells you the scenarios, the cases where exemption under section 11 will not apply. Now, section 115 BBC talks about taxability of anonymous donations. What do we mean by anonymous donations? In simple terms, anonymous means unknown. And that means the identity of the donor is unknown. Unknown as in the receiver does not maintain adequate records. He does not maintain the names and addresses of the persons who make this donation. And so we call these donations as anonymous. So once we finish reading what 115 BBC says, we'll realize that 115 BBC actually is only prescribing a separate tax rate for anonymous donations. Meaning, anonymous donations, broadly speaking, are taxable. That is, they have to be included in the total income. If 115 BBC applies, then your regular provisions of section 11 and section 12 will not be applicable. This is what section 13 subsection 7 told us. You are receiving anonymous donations and 115 BBC is applicable. So you are going to pay tax according to 115 BBC, according to the tax rate prescribed in 115 BBC. Then you do not have to bother about section 11 exemption. Section 11 exemption will not apply. But if by chance 115 BBC does not apply, there are two situations where 115 BBC is not applicable. Then this anonymous donation will be treated like a regular income, like any other income of the charitable trust. So section 11 will apply. The standard exemption of 15% will apply. Then you have to think of anonymous donations like any other income. So our discussion of section 115 BBC is very simple. It is a mathematical section. You have to study two things basically. The section is also very short. It has 3 subsections. The third subsection is the definition of anonymous donation. The thing that I have scribbled in the green color, that is the definition of anonymous donation. Subsection 1 tells you what tax rate will apply and how will you calculate tax. Subsection 2 tells you that what are the situations where 115 BBC will apply and 115 BBC will not apply. The section is very short. The separate tax rate that is applicable is 30%. You will pay tax at 30% of the taxable anonymous donations. Okay, you do not pay tax at 30% of anonymous donations. You pay tax at 30% on taxable amount of anonymous donation. मतलब क्या हुआ? Anonymous donation is taxable. It is included in the total income. तो फिर ये taxable anonymous donation मतलब देखो, there is a small exemption that is allowed. Taxable amount of anonymous donation means the total amount of anonymous donations that have been received in the year less 5% of the total donations or a minimum of rupees 1 lakh out of the two, whichever is higher. Once I follow this, total anonymous donation minus this bracket, whatever I get as an answer, that will be my taxable amount of anonymous donation. And it is this amount which will be brought to tax at 30%. But anonymous donations are included in total income. That means this figure, total anonymous donations, this is included in the total income of that charitable trust. Now what I do is, since anonymous donations are included in the total income, eventually when I will calculate tax, I will have to split my total income into two parts. The way we used to do when short-term or long-term capital gains are included in the total income, casual winnings are included in the total income. Then, like we used to do those type of workings, something similar will have to be done here, where effectively what it will look like is, I have the total income of the charitable trust. This will get split into two parts. First, I'll figure out what my anonymous donations are. From this, I will subtract the exemption that is given to me as per 115 BBC, which is this whole bracket. This bracket can be understood as the amount of exemptions. So I took my anonymous donations, I subtracted the exemption, and I found out my taxable amount of anonymous donations. And on this amount, I applied my tax rate of 30% and said this is the tax payable on anonymous donations. ये जो balance बचा ना, this balance amount, what is this balance amount? This balance amount is the total income that we have calculated minus the taxable amount of anonymous donations. ये मेरा balance total income. And on balance total income, since it is a trust, I'll pay tax according to slab rates. And so, ये मेरा tax आया, say Y rupees. So my final tax payable will be this X plus Y. And then surcharge and health and education cess wala funda will apply. Okay, before we take numbers, some interesting things to observe. When we see the definition of anonymous donation, it says identity of donor is unknown. The receiver does not maintain records. So, looking at the exact definition, see, subsection 3. Anonymous donation means voluntary contribution referred to in subclause 2A of clause 24 of section 2. Section 2, subsection 24, clause 2A defines the term income. So, to have proper legal clarity, anonymous donations are included in the definition of income, where the person receiving such contribution does not maintain a record of the identity indicating the name and addresses of the person making such contribution and such other particulars as may be prescribed. So he does not maintain names, address, does not maintain permanent account number details. But the thing to observe is that this is a voluntary contribution and there is no mention whatsoever about the nature of contribution, the type of contribution. What do I mean by this? I mean कि ये जो anonymous donations है ना, these anonymous donation, the total amount of anonymous donation, they could be my regular donations, or they could also be my corpus donations. Now we are aware, basic section number 11, section 11, subsection 1, point number B. Subsection 1 reads out, the following income shall not be included in the total income of the previous year of the person who is in receipt of these incomes. Point B, income in the form of voluntary contributions made with a specific direction that they shall form part of corpus of the trust or institution. Now, what does this mean? This means section 11(1)(b) is telling us that if they are corpus donations, they are not to be included in the total income. This is the basic rule. But when section 115 BBC applies, then we are aware that section 11 is not applicable. This is mentioned to us by section number 13, subsection 7. The moment I say section 11 is not applicable, it means this rule that I just created will not apply if 115 BBC applies. Meaning, if 115 BBC applies, even corpus donations, of course 115 BBC will apply only for anonymous donations. So even if anonymous donations are corpus donations, they are to be included in the total income. Which means as far as total anonymous donations are concerned, both regular donations and corpus donations are included. We will make a distinction that the donation is corpus or non-corpus only if it is a known donation. Only if you know the person, you have maintained records of the identity of the person. If it is unknown, if it is anonymous, so this distinction is not to be done. Second interesting thing to observe in the formula. Taxable anonymous donation is equal to the total amount minus a certain amount as exemptions. Now look at the exemption calculation. 5% of total donations. 5% of total donations. So try and make a guess. What do you think will be included as total donation?
एनोनिमस प्लस नॉर्मल और कॉर्पस सब कुछ इंक्लूड हो जाएगा ना?
करेक्ट.
मतलब दूसरे ट्रस्ट से जो आएगा वो भी इंक्लूड हो जाएगा?
तो नहीं, जो दूसरे ट्रस्ट से आएगा, हाँ, एवरीथिंग, यस. सो टोटल डोनेशन मींस, okay, total donations mean it is anonymous donations also and known donations also. Anonymous donations can be regular donations where where you're not maintaining the identity, but it is non-corpus. Anonymous will also include corpus donations, and similarly I can say even for known donations, they are regular or they can be corpus donations as well. Matlab, this is just for calculating an exemption amount. This red box that we have drawn, 5% of total donation or minimum 1 lakh, this is basically my exemption. So in the calculation of exemption, every donation received is covered, whether it is corpus or non-corpus, whether it is known or unknown, you don't bother, you cover up everything. Now, how does this formula work? So Look at the screen. The anonymous donation that is received, example 1 is 6 lakhs. Other donations received are 7 lakh rupees. Other incomes are 3 lakh rupees. Other incomes can mean interest on bank FDs, interest on debentures, rent income from properties, business activities which are incidental to the charitable organization, and उसमें से income आया, that is 3 lakh rupees. So if I exclude anonymous donations, it is 7 plus 3, 10 lakh rupees. Of that 10 lakh rupees ka standard exemption 15% is claimed. So 1,50,000 is exempt. Actually applied 7 lakh rupees. Now, what is the total income? So anonymous donations are to be included in total income. So 6 lakh plus 7 plus 3, 10 lakhs, so 16 lakhs. Minus 1,50,000 standard exemption, minus amounts applied 7 lakh rupees. So total income is 7,50,000. Now this means ये 7,50,000 में वो 6 lakh rupees का anonymous donation is included, and the other incomes are the balance 1,50,000. That means मैंने 7 plus 3, 10 lakh rupees receive किया, standard 15% exempt. Then the balance 7 lakh rupees is also exempt because it is actually applied for charitable purpose. So 10 minus 8,50,000. कैसे मिला 8,50,000? 1,50,000 का, that is a 15% amount, and 7 lakh rupees application of income. So other donations B amount plus C amount minus D amount minus E amount is the balance income 1,50,000, and anonymous donation fully included 6 lakhs. So now anonymous donations are 6 lakh rupees. Total donations are 13 lakhs, 6 plus 7. So 5% of total donation, 13 lakhs into 5%, ये 65,000 आया. Amount in the section 1 lakh rupees, whichever is higher, 1 lakh. So 1 lakh is exempt. That means out of the anonymous donation of 6 lakhs, 1 lakh is exempt. Only 5 lakh will be taxable as per 115 BBC.
सर
And that means, हाँ बोलो.
सर ऊपर में एच मतलब एच में अदर इनकम 1.5 लाख है, फिर नीचे जब के में आ रहे हैं उसको 7,50,000 के हिसाब से एडजस्ट करके उसको 2.5 लाख हो गया.
परफेक्ट.
तो मतलब सर ये तो गलत हो रहा है ना, मतलब सर
नहीं, मतलब I'll tell you what is happening is, whatever exemption they are allowing to you via the 115 BBC formula,
हाँ
that exemption is only from the rate of tax of 30%. मतलब amount will be taxable, it's not completely exempt. Rate will be slab rates.
ओके.
जैसे a better example actually would be example number 2. Example 2 देखो. 20 lakhs का anonymous donation, 60 lakhs का other donations. 4 lakh is other income, so 84 lakh is my total income before taking any exemption under income tax act. 84 lakh is my gross receipts, I can say. Now 60 plus 4, 64 lakhs ka 15%, that is 9,60,000 exempt. Income actually applied is 12 lakh rupees. So total income, how did I get this figure? Anonymous donation plus other donation plus other incomes minus standard exemption 15% minus application. 62,40,000 is my total income. Eventually, I'll have to pay tax on this amount. Now I split this 60 to 40 into two parts. अब ये देखो, 60 to 40 got split into two parts. Anonymous donation 20 lakhs, from which now I subtract my exemptions. So my exemption is
5% or 1 lakh.
minimum 1 lakh rupees that is there in the section, or 5% of total donations, and my total donations are 20 lakh anonymous, 20 lakh anonymous, example number 2, 60 lakhs other donation, which means 20 lakh plus 60 lakhs equal to 80 lakhs into 5%. So this amount is 4 lakhs. out of the two, whichever is higher, 4 lakh is exempt.
बराबर.
That means 16 lakh is taxable at the rate of 30%. Now, you do not consider this amount as 42 lakh 40. 60 to 40 minus 20 lakh nahi. I'll make you read it from the provision also, so you'll understand. What will now be done is, take your total income 60 to 40, subtract the anonymous donation which are taxable under 115 BBC, which is 16 lakhs. And so you will get this figure as 46 lakh 40,000, which, if you understand, includes this 4 lakh is included here.
तो
That means,
बेवकूफ बनाया ना फिर तो.
yes, matlab it is not exempt truly. It is, I could say something like this, rather than saying the words exempt, exemption, rather than using this word exemption, I would say taxable amount of anonymous donation is anonymous donation in excess of the following. So I would say that this is exempt from tax nahi, from the rate of tax of 30%. It means eventually you will still have to pay tax as per regular rates on this 46 lakh 40.
तो सर इनडायरेक्टली ना उस 46 40 में भी तो 30% पे टैक्स लगेगा ना. 10 लाख के ऊपर ही तो है. स्लैब रेट पे भी लगेगा तो.
True, but वो 4 lakh rupees, the 4 lakh rupees, it is included in 46 lakh 40 in which slab that you cannot say ना.
हाँ वो करेक्ट है, लेकिन मतलब लगेगा तो माने मेजर चंक पे तो 30% ही लगने वाला है.
No, what I would say is something like this. Supposing this complicated formula was not there, and the law would have made it very simple. Anonymous donation straight away 30%.
Yes.
If this was the law, supposing, then 20 lakh fully would have been taxed at 30%. And 42 lakh 40 would have been taxed as slab rate. This sounds logical and simple, correct? What did we now say? Out of 20 lakhs, do not pay tax on 4 lakh at 30% rate, pay tax on 4 lakh as per slab rates. So now where does that 4 lakh fall in the slab rate? I don't know. If you do this working, if you do this working, vis-a-vis this, you do a working like 20 lakh pay, you're straight away applying 30%, and 42 lakh 40 pay, you are applying slab rate. Now, since the amounts are such, so your tax amounts will be identical in both cases.
उसमें 10 लाख का टैक्स आया 10,84,500 और इसमें आएगा 6 लाख रुपए.
As in, I didn't get you.
मतलब अगर आप 40 करोगे तो उस पे 30 मतलब स्लैब रेट के हिसाब से इट इज 10,84,500 और प्लस
your answers will match. That's what I'm saying. Your answers will match because of excess 4 lakh rupees hai na. As you were saying, it falls above 10 lakh rupees ke slab mein. But see, that's why I'm saying the numbers are too big. That is why. अच्छा.
अगर छोटा होगा तो फिर थोड़ा बेनिफिट मिलेगा.
Okay. Your voice was broken. Look at example 1. I'll convince you via example 1. Example 1. Total income is 7 lakh 50.
Yes.
If I would do normally anonymous donation fully taxable and balance income as per slab rate, so I would have paid 30% tax on 6 lakhs.
Yes.
And the balance 1 lakh 50 would have fallen in the basic exemption limit.
बराबर.
Now what these guys are doing, they are not taxing the full 6 lakhs at 30%. They are taxing only 5 lakhs at 30%. But then they are not leaving out the tax on that 1 lakh. They are including it in the regular income and telling you to pay tax. So now in this case, you'll agree that the tax reduced slightly. Second example, the amounts are so big, okay, eventually it does not make a difference. You will eventually pay tax on that exemption amount, so-called exemption amount, at 30% only. So this complicated method has some advantage.
थोड़ा सा.
So is the working clear? Is
Yes,
this
sir.
stuff clear?
हाँ.
Everyone,
Sir,
guys?
sir,
Yes,
what
yes.
if donation is in kind?
If donation is in kind, you will have to take the fair market value of that in kind thing and compute income.
Okay, okay. Cool.
Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Mandar, are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. This what we discussed was subsection 1. I'm putting it up on the screen. This what we've discussed is subsection 1. Subsection 3, we've seen what the meaning is. Now subsection 2, something that we have to read a bit carefully. The provisions of subsection 1 shall not apply. So 115 BBC will not apply to any anonymous donation received by any trust or institution created or established wholly for religious purposes. Meaning, now as a pattern, when you independently on your own sit to study this chapter, you will observe that in the chapter everywhere the term used is charitable or religious trust. Everywhere, section 11, section 12, registration, everywhere. So what I'm trying to tell you is the term used is charitable or religious trust. So when I decode this, I come to the conclusion that one organization that we are considering is a charitable trust. Second organization that we are considering is a religious trust. And that means point number 1, this is a trust only for charitable purposes, only for charitable activities. This is a trust only for religious activities. See, 11 subsection 1, the base section. 11 subsection 1, the following income shall not be included in the total income of the previous year of the person in receipt of the income. Point A, income derived from property held under trust wholly for charitable or religious purposes. So there is a or there. In 115 BBC, we will find out that they are talking about charitable and religious trust also. So this is the third type of organization that is covered in 115 BBC. That is mentioned rather, I should say. Okay, keeping this in mind, let's read 115 BBC again. The provisions of subsection 1 shall not apply to any anonymous donation received by any trust or institution created or established wholly for religious purposes. Which means in this scenario, 115 BBC is not applicable. And that means section 11 will apply. And anonymous donations will be covered by section 11. Let me stay on this. That means if it is only a religious trust and it is receiving donations which are anonymous and known. In the known donations, some of them are regular and some of them are corpus donations. And a similar type of breakup can be imagined here also, regular and corpus. Now, if it's a religious trust, section 115 BBC is not applicable. The moment I say section 115 BBC is not applicable, it means section 11 will apply. And section 11 says any voluntary contribution in the form of corpus donations is completely exempt, which means this will be exempt under section 11(1) clause B. Even this will be exempt under section 11(1) clause B as corpus donations. (11(1) clause B, income in the form of voluntary contributions made with a specific direction that they shall form part of the corpus of the trust or institution. So once it is part of the corpus, 11(1) gives you exemption. So this is fully exempt. And as far as the regular ones are concerned, I will now cover it under 11(1) clause A by saying that there is a standard 15% exemption. The balance will be exempt if you spend it. If you do not spend it but accumulate it under 11 subsection 2, then we'll give you exemption. If you do not spend it but we say it is deemed to be applied, then we'll give you the exemption in the current year only. So everything that you would follow in a regular known donations, you will also follow for regular anonymous donations if it's a religious trust, if it is only a religious trust.
सर
First
रिलीजियस
thing,
तो डिफाइंड नहीं है ना.
हाँ religious तो डिफाइंड नहीं है, मतलब if it's a trust working for a particular religion, it's a religious trust. That means religious trust, what is religious trust or what is religious purpose is not defined. But when the Commissioner of Income Tax grants registration certificate, he will mention in the registration certificate depending on the objectives that are there. So the trust will have to prove, okay, I am a holy religious trust. I am going to work only for a particular religion. We are going to set up temples for that religion. We are going to benefit only those religious persons. So that means it will depend on the certificate granted by the commissioner. Guys, is this clear? Okay, let's read it back.
Yes.
Chalo, great. So, what happens in case of holy religious trusts? We have understood. Subsection 2 of 115 BBC. The provisions of subsection 1 shall not apply to any anonymous donation received by point B, any trust or institution created or established only for religious and charitable purpose. This is the place where we are imagining a trust which is created for both purposes. This is the trust which promotes education also, or charitable purpose, generally speaking, and a religious purpose also. So it can be involved in yoga activities and promoting a particular religion, providing medical treatment, that is charitable and religious purpose. This is an institution which is established for both purposes. Now, as we've seen in this chapter, the drafting is complicated. So we have to read everything in its entirety. Subsection 1 shall not apply to point B, a trust created for religious and charitable purposes, other than any anonymous donation made with a specific direction that such donation is for any university or other educational institution or any hospital or other medical institutions run by such trust or institution. So now the type of organization that I'm covering is a charitable and religious trust. Now this charitable and religious trust is receiving anonymous donations. Basically, we saw that section 115 BBC is not applicable. But then we also saw, other than any anonymous donation which is made with a specific direction that they must be used for university, other educational institution, hospital or medical institution that is run by such trust or institution. मतलब specific direction that the donation is meant for, I'll generalize it by saying educational institution or medical institution. Now what will happen is that we will say for these type of donations, 115 BBC will apply. And if it is other case, so anonymous donations are made, but no direction is given that this should be used for school, this should be used for the college, this should be used for the hospital, just anonymous donation, then 115 BBC will not apply. Obviously, it means section 11 will apply here. And in this case, section 11 will not apply. Why such a thing? Because it was observed that an organization which is doing both religious and charitable, and the charitable purpose is education, then anonymous donations that are received in the religious place, religious trust, it would have set up various religious places. Anonymous donations received in the religious place are being shifted to the educational institution for construction of educational institution. So it's like you are receiving anonymous donation in the temple, but it's all in cash, and there is a possibility that you can convert your black money into white by saying this was received in the for the construction of a school or for the construction of a college, and it is anonymous. We don't know who gave it. Now, if you are a purely religious trust, so section 115 BBC is not applicable only. But then we saw that section 11 will apply, and once section 11 applies, so regular slab rates will apply. Now, cases were discovered where black money was used for construction of schools and colleges and educational institution, and they were said anonymous donation here, and we've received it in the religious trust, and we have thereafter given it for school, college. So, and we can do it because we are a charitable trust also, and we are a religious trust also. So now government said that, okay, you are saying that who gave the money to me, we have not maintained records, but that person said this is for educational institution, this is for medical institution. Now we will apply 115 BBC. We will tax this donation at the maximum rate of 30%. We will not give you section 11 exemption. We will not give you the standard 15% exemption. If it's a charitable and religious trust and anonymous donations are given just generally, then it will fall in the other case. Then we will not cover it under 115 BBC. We'll cover it under section 11. We'll give you the normal exemption. समझ पड़ा? Did you get me?
सर मेरे को इसमें मोनिका ने एक डाउट पूछा कि समझो जैसे कॉलेजेस होते हैं और स्पेसिफिक सिंधी बच्चों को एडमिशन देते हैं लोअर कॉस्ट पे, तो वो क्या रिलीजियस हो जाएगा क्या? क्योंकि स्पेसिफिकली वो सिंधी के लिए वो कर रहे हैं ना, वो लोग सिंधी क्राउड के लिए.
Correct, but I don't think it will be treated as a religious it will not be a religious trust, definitely. मतलब it's an educational institution after all. The education gets covered in the definition of charity. I mean charitable purpose. So you're still pursuing a charitable purpose. What will now happen is that section 13 subsection 1 might get attracted, and a charitable purpose which works for the benefit of a particular religious community, exemption will not be covered under section, exemption under section 11 will not apply.
So 115 BBC will apply?
if the donation is anonymous. If the donation is not anonymous, matlab you know who the person is, then it will be taxed as your regular income. But if an income is taxed under 13 subsection 1, so it is the maximum marginal rate. ये देखो.
समझा.
So 13 subsection 1, if I remember, it was point number A or B, one of the two. Point B. In case of a trust for charitable purpose or a charitable institution created or established after the commencement of this act, that's okay. Any income if the trust or institution is created for the benefit of particular religious community or caste, then nothing contained in section 11 shall apply. So no exemption will be given to you, but it will be taxed at the maximum marginal rate.
So we're doing section number 115 BBC. Are we?
Yeah, we are almost at the end of section 115 BBC.
I'll see that in the lecture, like the video that you have.
Correct.
I shall start with a new section only, whatever you continue, right?
Sir,
हाँ जी बोलो.
सर एनोनिमस डोनेशन मिला है एंड दे से कि है ना ये स्पेसिफिक के लिए नहीं है और फिर स्कूल्स के लिए यूज करे तो सेक्शन 11 अट्रैक्ट हो जाएगा ना?
नहीं होगा ना, क्योंकि वो रजिस्टर्ड तो इसके लिए ही होगा ना, मतलब चैरिटेबल करके रजिस्टर्ड होगा, थोड़ी वो रिलीजियस.
चैरिटेबल एंड रिलीजियस दोनों है.
करेक्ट.
और वो बोले कि मुझे डोनेशन मिला है पर कोई स्पेसिफिक डायरेक्शन नहीं मिला है.
करेक्ट.
और मैं वो डोनेशन जो है यूज कर रही हूँ फॉर बिल्डिंग स्कूल्स एंड कॉलेजेस, तो फिर सेक्शन 11 अप्लाई होगा कि 115
सेक्शन 11 विल अप्लाई.
ओके, तो फिर इस केस में ऐसा कर सकते थे ना वो लोग जो ऐसे स्पेसिफिक डायरेक्शन यूज कर रहे थे.
True, they can do that because the donor has not given any specific direction that my money should be used like this. That means the charitable trust is free to use the money wherever it wants.
Okay, so still there is a scope for conversion of black to white.
You can, yes, there is a small scope remaining. The drafting should have been that if the money is used for education institution, medical institution, then 115 BBC will apply if that was the situation.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Acha. Which gives us our third conclusion. See, subsection 2 of 115 BBC says that subsection 1 will not apply if it is a trust wholly for charitable purposes, wholly for religious purposes, or if it is wholly for religious and charitable purpose, which means I divided my trusts into 3 types: charitable, religious, charitable and religious. If it is religious, 115 BBC is not applicable, section 11 will apply. If it is charitable and religious trust, 115 BBC will apply in one situation, and in all other cases, section 11 will apply. But there is no mention of charitable trust, a wholly charitable trust, in subsection 2. What does this mean? What does this mean?
नहीं समझा सर.
Okay, chalo. Subsection 2 is a negative section. Subsection 2 says 115 BBC will not apply.
Apply नहीं होगा. हाँ.
If it's a fully religious trust, 115 BBC will not apply. If it is a trust which is religious and charitable, so one situation 115 BBC will apply, other situations 115 BBC will not apply. But what about a wholly charitable trust? Does subsection 2 mention anything about wholly charitable trust?
No.
What does this mean? If anonymous donations are received by a wholly charitable trust,
11 attract होगा.
नहीं, 115
नहीं ऋषभ.
BBC apply.
Perfect.
Always applicable.
Yes. Correct. Always applicable. See, 115 BBC 2 says that subsection 1 will not apply in the following cases.
बराबर.
And this is only religious. This is religious plus charitable. So what about only charitable? For only charitable,
Applicable होगा बराबर.
is 115 BBC subsection 2 getting covered? No. And that means 115 BBC subsection 1 will apply.
बराबर.
If it's a wholly charitable trust, then anonymous donations will be taxed under 115 BBC, and which automatically means that section 11 will not be applicable. You're clear about the full 115 BBC? If you want, take a minute and read this analysis.
डन
Done, sir.
तू पढ़ा भी है क्या? खाली डन सर. आया बीच में बाहर, इतना पसीना पसीना हो रहा है, खाली बनाने के लिए बनाते रहते हैं. नेट स्लो, पसीना हो रहा
क्या
है,
पसीना हो रहा है तेरे
क्या नेट स्लो तेरा?
को? वैसा रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है.
तो जो वीडियो बाद में देखेगा उसको भी तो थोड़ा मस्ती मजाक होना चाहिए ना, नहीं तो बोर हो जाएगा आदमी.
बराबर.
अरे सर ऐसा क्लास आप पहले ही ले लेते।
अरे I
The
got
syllabus.
हाँ नहीं I got this device, this tab with me in the first week of May. By that time I had almost shared the whole assessment वाला thing with you guys because
सर
our
इंटरनेशनल टैक्सेशन ले लो इस पे।
पूरा लेक्चर वीडियो है आपके पास, फिर भी इंटरनेशनल टैक्स तो
नहीं, वो इलेक्टिव की बात कर रहा है।
इलेक्टिव की बात कर रहा हूँ।
इलेक्टिव आता ही नहीं है मेरे को।
डू यू सजेस्ट एनीवन?
बाद में बात करते हैं।
अभी के जमाने में रेफरेंस बहुत खतरनाक होता है, सामने वाला बराबर नहीं निकला तो।
No, that's not the case. That's not the case. I'll give you the names of good faculties. I just don't want to give it to you right now because I'll be uploading this video on YouTube. So I don't
हाँ,
want to look
सब
like.
देख
All
लेंगे।
this is also go, sir, because
हाँ, so I
me
don't
and
want to
Rishabh were
look like.
talking about.
हाँ, yes.
जाने
I am.
दो, फालतू बात थोड़ी की। सर अभी टीडी कर लेते हैं, फिर ये खत्म हो जाएगा।
हाँ,
ये कितना बड़ा है सर? आज का दिन पूरा जाएगा इसमें 1 घंटा?
आज का दिन मतलब हाँ 1 घंटा है। हाँ 1 घंटे में हो जाएगा। This will be done within 1 hour.
मतलब सर और एक लेक्चर करेंगे तो फुल खत्म हो जाएगा?
हाँ
टीडीएस
नहीं
टीसीएस और वो सब
we'll need about 2 sessions because वो tax rate of company वाला जो है BAA and BAB,
हाँ
that will take probably 1 full session, and in the second session we'll take up TDS amendments. There was something else also.
आपने लिख के रखा था ना किधर तो?
हाँ अपने ग्रुप पे डाला हुआ है मैंने these 2 items.
वो सैलरी वगैरह बाकी अमेंडमेंट्स।
सैलरी का हाँ वो तो 5 मिनट का काम है। सैलरी अमेंडमेंट, हाउस प्रॉपर्टी अमेंडमेंट इज अ जॉब ऑफ 5 minutes. दैट्स नॉट द प्रॉब्लम। देयर इज समथिंग एल्स आई सीम टू रिमेंबर कि कुछ है जो करना है। ठीक है, we'll check our group, but we'll need about 2 sessions I feel. TDS amendments are also about 20 minutes only, 20-25 minutes hardly, half an hour let's say. And there was some other topic which I seem to remember हमने लिस्ट में लिखा हुआ था। we'll check it.
सर ये जैसे क्लबिंग वगैरह का चैप्टर इसमें नहीं है तो किधर से पढ़ने का? पीएम
क्लबिंग का मैंने नोट्स दिया हुआ है शायद
किसी और चैप्टर में।
वो सेल्फ स्टडी वाले चीज में है। क्लबिंग ऑफ इनकम नहीं है तो यू जस्ट चेक इट, यू टेल मी, I'll send you the PDF.
ओके सर।
So you
I
said
think
the notes for these PDFs that you send would be available later, like.
हाँ वो बात हो गया है कि आई हैव टू रिफाइन इट। ये सब कुछ एक साथ में दे दूंगा इन अ सिंगल PDF। चैरिटेबल वाला जो अपना लास्ट सेशन हुआ था दैट लेक्चर, एंड ये 115 BBC, दिस 115 TD, ये सब कुछ एक ही PDF में आ जाएगा एक साथ।
No, not these, sir.
वो बुक्स की बात कर रहा है, प्रिंटेड।
हाँ बुक्स की बात कर रहा हूँ।
हाँ वो प्रिंटेड तो भाई अंकुश भाई को बोलो कि प्रिंट करके कुरियर करवाए। अंकुश सर विल डू इट, आई पुट इट ऑन द ग्रुप। चलना तुम लोग ग्रुप पे डालो ना। यू टॉकिंग अबाउट द टेक्स्ट बुक PDF ना?
मैंने
Yes, sir.
ली, जिसको चाहिए डालो।
हाँ
ये प्रिंट लेने को भी कहाँ जाएगा, कोई स्टेशनरी नहीं खुली है।
अभी पढ़े।
हाँ चलो।
सर और वो मॉड्यूल की टैक्स प्लानिंग वर्सेस टैक्स अवॉइडेंस ऐसा कुछ चैप्टर है तो उसका भी आप नोट्स लोगे?
टैक्स प्लानिंग, टैक्स अवॉइडेंस, टैक्स इवेजन ऐसा?
हाँ सर वो एक चैप्टर है पीएम में, बराबर
एक चैप्टर है वो ऐसा।
हाँ मतलब if it is tax planning, it is within, it is using the section. If it is tax avoidance, it is something that happens but you didn't actually want to. But tax evasion is something serious. एक बार PM पढ़ लेना. If you find anything which is like नहीं समझता तो I'll discuss it with you.
ओके सर।
Okay. What exactly is this 115 TD? This is when you read the budget in which this was introduced, they call this section as an exit tax. What we are visualizing here is that there is a charitable trust, and this charitable trust is registered with the commissioner, is registered under section 12AA. Now, 3 scenarios are imagined here. First, this charitable trust converts itself into a form, into a type of organization which is not eligible for registration. And this concept is later on defined in detail. So I'll use one term for it, conversion. Second situation imagined is, this charitable trust is merging with another entity, another trust, another association. But the problem is that this entity is not registered under section 12AA, even if it has similar objectives, or it is registered under section 12AA, but the objectives of this entity are dissimilar, not similar to the charitable trust that we have. And now it is merging. Now our charitable trust, which is registered, is merging into an unregistered entity, or is merging into a registered entity, but it has dissimilar objectives. So this is another event which is visualized. And the third event visualized is that this charitable trust is dissolved. There is dissolution. But on this dissolution, all assets are not transferred to another entity which is registered under section 12AA up to a period of 12 months from end of the month of dissolution. Okay, this is the basic thing due to which this section will apply. This whole section will apply if one of these three things happen. If we think a bit in depth, we realize that the intention is, currently there is a charitable trust which is registered under section 12AA. So all the assets that this trust is owning will be used to earn income, and then that income will be used for charitable activities. Event number 1 of conversion. It converts itself into a form which is not eligible for registration under section 12AA. So it does something due to which the commissioner will cancel your registration. And so you will now be an unregistered trust. That means your assets, your income now can be used for any purpose. You are not registered as a charitable organization. You are no longer registered as a charitable organization. You have converted yourself into an organization which cannot be registered. And this, when the section subsequently clarifies this, it means that your registration has been cancelled. So now you are no longer a charitable trust, which means you can be free to use the assets and the income from it for any private purpose, for any other purpose. Then we will apply section 115TD. What do I mean by this term? Apply 115TD. We'll see that in a minute. First, let's understand ho kya raha hai. What exactly is happening? Second event is merger. You are merging into an organization which is unregistered. So you are a registered organization, and now you are giving your assets to another organization, another entity which is not registered. That means now that entity who is taking over your assets is free to use your assets and the income from it for non-charitable purposes. Or the entity is registered, like you are registered, but the objectives are different. You are a charitable organization who was created for providing medical relief to the poor. You merge into another charitable organization registered under the Income Tax Act with the commissioner, but that organization is created for yoga. Charitable purpose includes the definition includes yoga. So for promoting yoga related activities. Now, which means till now your assets were used for medical relief to the poor. Now they will be used for some other purposes, which is now they'll be used for a charitable purpose, but your objectives are different. Now 115 TD will apply. Or the third situation. The trust dissolves. On dissolution, it is giving away its assets, but it does not give all the assets to a charitable organization which is registered under section 12AA. So either it does not transfer any asset, or it transfers only some assets, but some other assets are sold privately on dissolution. Now dissolution will not take place immediately. Dissolution procedure will take time. So the time prescribed is a span of 12 months from end of the month of dissolution. That means a month in which dissolution happened, count 12 months from the end of that month. In these 12 months, if this charitable trust has failed to transfer all its assets to another registered organization, then 115 TD will apply. What happens when one, अच्छा यहां तक समझा क्या हो रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You sure everyone?
Yes, sir.
If 115 TD applies, तो क्या करने का? Then you have to calculate something called as accreted income.
Sir,
And
accredited का मतलब?
हाँ वही समझा रहा हूँ. Accreted income means accrued, till now accrued, and we are saying find out the fair market value of the assets on the specified date. Less the liabilities that the trust has. This is called as accreted income. Specified date, matlab it is the date of conversion, or it is the date of merger, or it is the date of dissolution. As on these dates, find out the fair market value of your assets minus the liabilities. This whole formula is prescribed in detail in rule number 17CB. And once you follow rule 17CB and find out this thing, whatever amount you get as accreted income, tax payable by that charitable trust is accreted income into the maximum marginal rate 42.744%. That is why this is called as an exit tax. Now, this will make the logic even more clear. Till now, the trust was registered under 12AA. So every year it used to earn income. It used to earn income and take exemption of this income. This income eventually will be converted into assets. So 15% of income is exempt. That means the amount that is received in your bank, 15% of that is by default exempt, but the money is still with you in your bank account. That's an asset for you. You have applied this income for various purposes. So it is possible that using this income, you could have created some fixed assets. You've constructed a school, you've constructed a hospital, you've made some fixed deposits. If you have accumulated this income, saying that I will use it in the next 5 years, accumulation. So that means that accumulated amount has to be invested into those specific modes. So that means you've purchased shares, debentures, you've made some investments. So you have those assets. Relating to those assets, you also have some liabilities. You took the exemption of that income, and that income is eventually with you in the form of assets. Now you are no longer a charitable trust. Either you are getting dissolved, you are closed down, or you are getting merged into another organization, or you are converting yourself into a non-charitable organization. So till now, the amounts that you have taken exempt, they were taken exempt because you said, okay, I'm a charitable trust, I want the income, give me current year exemption, and that income will be eventually converted into assets, and those assets will generate further income, which will also be exempt. Now, had I remained charitable, तो charitable purpose के लिए income was received, exemption taken, used to convert into assets, and those assets would have generated further income, and that would also be exempt. But I am no longer charitable now. So henceforth, all my incomes will become taxable. But what about the value of the asset which I have slowly taken exemption over the past number of years? Now we are saying we will tax you on these assets also. So we will find out the market value of the asset. In simple terms, you can also think like this: I'm finding the net worth of this trust by calculating the market value on the specified date, reducing the liabilities, and we are saying this net worth, so-called net worth, is now called as accreted income, income accrued till date in the form of assets. Net worth, net assets. Now you are going to use this net asset for any other purpose. So we will impose some tax on this net asset at the maximum marginal rate. लॉजिक समझा यहाँ तक?
सर
हाँ जी
सर, इसमें मेरे को ये डाउट था, आपने बोला कि एग्जेम्पशन, लेकिन अगर समझो कि वो अमाउंट ऑलरेडी टैक्स्ड हो गया था, तो फिर तो भी उसमें एग्जिट पे टैक्स लगेगा, क्योंकि सारा चीज कुछ चीज टैक्सेबल भी होती है ट्रस्ट के लिए. अब अगर उस पर टैक्स लग गया था तो उस पर भी वापस लगेगा.
यस
तो डबल नहीं हो गया?
हाँ, डबल हो गया, बट देन दिस टैक्स ऑफ accreted income is only when you do such conversions, ना?
ऐसे तो ऋषभ, तू इनकम अर्न करता है सैलरी का, you convert it into an asset and you sell the asset, कैपिटल गेन तो लगता ही है,
लेकिन उसमें
सैलरी टैक्स हुआ, बाद में कैपिटल गेन टैक्स,
एडिशनल पैसा आया ना,
इसमें भी तो आया ना वापस जब तू एसेट ट्रांसफर किया है.
इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है.
Rishabh, there is double taxation. Rishabh, there is double taxation. Like if anonymous donations are received, they are taxed. Either 115 BBC will apply or your normal section 11 will apply.
लेकिन anonymous tax तो होगा कुछ ना कुछ.
Anonymous tax तो होगा, कुछ ना कुछ amount तो tax होने वाला है. And that amount which is after tax amount will be part of your bank balance. If you have not invested it anywhere, it will be at the end of the day it will be part of bank balance.
Yes.
So it will be part of those assets on the specified date. So there will be double taxation. Double taxation to some extent will happen. The section has tried to exclude some things in the FMV of asset, but only some things are excluded, not everything. So what you are thinking?
Everything.
What you are thinking?
Cash balance पड़ा रहेगा.
I can't listen to you. I can't listen to you. Network issue. I can't listen to you.
Hello.
हाँ हाँ
हाँ, मैंने सोचा था सर कि अगर मेरे पास कैश पड़ा है, अगर मैंने
हाँ
कोई एसेट बनाया ही नहीं, तो वो कैश पे भी सीधा सीधा टैक्स आ जाएगा। मैं तो ऐसा सोच रहा था।
करेक्ट, आ जाएगा। सो इफ यू हैव रिसीव्ड डोनेशंस
हम्म
and you have spent, you get 15% exemption.
हम्म
You spend the balance 85%. For that year, there is zero tax, zero income.
करेक्ट।
But the 15% of donation received or income received, that is still in your bank.
यस
You spent only balance 85%. Na? So
यस
15% is still exempt and
यस
it's unspent. But that means that is part of your asset. Now that will
यस
become taxable.
यस, उस पर लगना चाहिए, वो ठीक है।
हाँ
हाँ
वो ठीक है, चलो। Now I received 100, 15 rupees exempt. Out of 85, only 75 was spent.
हम्म
That means 10 became taxable.
हम्म
Now my bank
10
balance will
बचा।
be that 10 and that
हाँ
15, 25. But on this, in this scenario, 25 will be taxable.
बराबर,
So there will be double taxation on that 10.
समझ गया। थोड़ा
हाँ वो थोड़ा होने ही वाला है।
थोड़ा डबल टैक्सेशन है इसमें।
Correct. चलो, can we move ahead?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when this charitable trust gets converted into a form which is not eligible for registration, in that year, Section 11 exemption will not be available to you. Section 11 exemption will not apply to you. This is categorically mentioned that the year in which your registration gets cancelled, the Commissioner of Income Tax cancels your registration, then automatically it means Section 11 will not be available to you. I'll tell you exactly where this is. Just give me a minute.
ना सर। सेक्शन 13 में नहीं लिखा है।
नहीं, एक सेकंड, नहीं 13 में नहीं लिखा है। ऑन द स्क्रीन देखो तुम। सेक्शन 12A, the provisions of 11 and 12 shall not apply in relation to any income of the trust or institution unless the following conditions are fulfilled. Point AA, point AB. The person in receipt of income has made an application for registration of the trust or institution. In a case where registration has been granted under 12AA or has obtained registration under the old section, and subsequently it has adopted or undertaken modifications of the objects which do not conform to the conditions of registration within a period of 30 days, it has made this application. So the drafting is Section 11 will not apply unless and until a registered trust which has changed its objectives has again applied for registration within a period of 30 days. 11 will not apply, exemption will not apply if a already registered trust has changed its objectives and it has not applied for fresh registration within 30 days. Now, registration wala section says that where a trust has been granted registration and subsequently, fourth line, the commissioner is satisfied that the activities of such trust are not genuine or are not being carried out in accordance with the objects of the trust, he shall pass an order in writing cancelling the registration of the trust. So, if the objectives have changed and you have not made an application within 30 days, the commissioner can cancel your registration by saying that now your activities are not in accordance with the objectives that originally were there, because now you are undertaking some other objectives. The moment he cancels your registration, section 11 will not apply. And that means if for that year's income, you will have to pay income tax. And now since your registration is cancelled, even this tax will apply. If your registration gets cancelled, then this tax is definitely going to apply. In addition to this tax, you will also have to pay income tax on your current year's income, because your registration is being cancelled by saying that the objectives for which you were formed and the objectives that are now being carried out are not the same. You've adopted modification, but you have not applied for registration. So your existing registration is cancelled. ये समझ पड़ा?
सर
हाँ जी.
हाँ सर, इसमें तो ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं ना, अपन को कन्वर्ट मर्जर या डिसोल्यूशन करने की जरूरत ही नहीं ना, एक एक करके एसेट बेच दो जिसको भी बेचने का है, चालू रखो ना, इसको दूसरा नया खोल लो.
As in?
मतलब आप suppose you are converting your the trust, merging the trust with some partnership or anything with another trust. So rather than calling it a merger, I can sell off my asset to that
I'm listening. Go on.
other entity ना, उसमें मेरा ये सब अट्रैक्ट ही नहीं होगा.
नहीं तो समझा नहीं.
तो ये सब फिर मेरे को जो मेरा एग्जिस्टिंग ट्रस्ट है. हाँ,
your trust is still existing. Okay. If you sell off your assets,
सारे नहीं बेचूंगा, एक आध रख दूंगा इस पे, मतलब जो काम के नहीं.
that's okay. Even if you sell a single asset,
हाँ,
then capital gains on that asset has to be invested again into buying a new asset. Otherwise, you will not get exemption under section 11. ये
only
कहाँ
for
पे
that
है?
capital gain.
Only for that capital gain. हाँ. तो this is तुम्हारा सेक्शन 11 सबसेक्शन 1A या 1B, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर एग्जैक्टली कौन सा. 1A. You can sell it to different persons. Moment you sell it to different persons, you will get cash. You'll get money. That amount has to be invested into buying another asset. Otherwise, section 11 का exemption will not be given to you. So, what you are thinking is trying to avoid tax under 115 TD. Basic, you are thinking that. So you are still continuing as a registered trust, but selling off the asset and keeping the money with yourself, then that capital gain becomes taxable for you for that year.
लेकिन सर सपोज अगर मैं मशीनरी बेच रहा हूँ तो मेरे को गेन आएगा, कोई जरूरी नहीं ना मैं नॉमिनल वैल्यू मैंने कैपिटल गेन में अगर उसमें बेचूंगा तो मतलब उसमें थोड़ी कोई फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू लेना है मेरे को.
कंसीडरेशन देखते ना.
हाँ, तो कंसीडरेशन की बात कर रहा हूँ.
नहीं ऋषभ, यू नॉट अंडरस्टैंडिंग.
इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ गेन, मतलब गेन हो या लॉस हो, कंसीडरेशन वापस रीइन्वेस्ट होना चाहिए.
हाँ, बट देन
कंसीडरेशन
नहीं, net consideration has to be reinvested. If you do not, तो your gain will be taxable.
हाँ, तो मेरे
what you are missing out, Rishabh, is are you going to sell an asset lower than the market value practical life just to avoid tax?
नहीं, वो तो मतलब प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल नहीं है.
हाँ. तो you are saying let us not have dissolution, but let us sell assets keeping the registered trust existing alive.
Yes.
If the registered trust is still existing, it's still alive. So anyways 115 TD does not apply. Section 11 subsection 1A is already existing to tax you on the capital gains in case you don't invest the money. That is why this tax is called as an exit tax, that you are stopping or exiting, or you are no longer a charitable trust. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, chalo. This is the tax that I'm supposed to pay. What I was trying to explain was that if your registration gets cancelled, then on the current year's income you will pay tax, and you will also pay this tax at MMR. If it's a case of dissolution, if it's a case of merger, then your current year's income may still be exempt under section 11, but you will still have to pay this tax. There is a specific scenario created whereby it is said that whether or not income is exempt under section 11, whether or not regular tax is paid, this tax will still have to be paid. So it may so happen that you are going for dissolution. You are not transferring all the assets to another registered trust. You're transferring only some assets. Only some assets are transferred to the registered trust. Balance assets are not transferred. Balance assets are sold privately on dissolution. Now, on that private sale, income will be taxable. Section 11 will not apply. The assets which you give to another registered trust, Section 11 exemption can still be taken. But irrespective of that, this tax will still have to be paid. यहाँ तक समझा?
Got it, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you repeat it?
अच्छा. This tax payable is always to be paid if conversion or merger or dissolution happens, irrespective of the fact that for the year in which this conversion, merger, dissolution happens, for that year, section 11 exemption is allowed or not allowed. Irrespective of that, this tax will have to be paid. So if I go for the scenario of dissolution and I transfer some assets to another registered trust and balance assets are sold privately. Now the balance assets which are sold privately, section 11 exemption will not be applicable to that sale.
Yes.
But section 11 exemption can still apply to those assets which are given to another organization, another registered organization.
Yeah.
So I am getting section 11 exemption for a part of my income and not getting section 11 exemption for the balance part of the income. That is a current year's income, current year card discussion. But have I failed to transfer all assets on dissolution? Answer is yes. I have failed to transfer all assets to a registered entity. Then this section 115 TD will get attracted and I will still have to pay tax under this section even if my current year's income is exempt under section 11.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you.
Now, ये जो अपना वर्किंग है फेयर
Sir,
मार्केट वैल्यू, हाँ बोलो.
सर इन दैट केस जब भी ऑल एसेट ट्रांसफर नहीं हुए हैं
मैं
डिसोल्यूशन
खत्म
में
कर लूं, मैं तेरा डाउट समझ गया, खत्म कर लूं मैं. एक सेकंड ठहर जा. आई थिंक आई नो योर डाउट. एक मिनट ठहर जा. Fair market value of the assets on the specified date is what you have to take. These assets do not include: 1. Assets acquired out of agriculture income under section 10 subsection 1. Section 11 says, section 11, that if it is agriculture income that the trust derives, the income is exempt under section 10(1) itself. So there is no requirement of spending for charitable purposes. It is by default exempt. but any other income which is covered by section 10. By default, exemption under section 10 will not apply. Exemption will be guided or allowed as per section 11. This is what is already there in section number 11. So as a charitable trust, if I earn agriculture income and I earn dividend income from Indian companies, agriculture income will be exempt under 10(1) itself. I do not need to take exemption under section 11 and follow section 11 for that income. But for dividend income, automatic exemption under 1034 will not be allowed. I have to take exemption as per section 11's system, as per section 11's mechanism. This is what is there in section 11. That means in the year in which income accrued, this is the law. Now, my charitable organization was existing for say 10 years. Every year I earned agriculture income, by default exempt. Every year I earned other exempt incomes under section 10. Then I had to apply section number 11. Then after 10 years, one of these three events happened. Conversion, merger, dissolution, one of these three events happened. Then my assets will also include those assets which I have acquired out of agriculture income in the last 10 years. Every year I earned agriculture income, exemption was given under section 10(1). All that was accumulated in the form of assets. Today, either on conversion or on merger or on dissolution, even those assets, the word assets will also include those assets which are acquired out of agriculture income. Then, when I calculate my accreted income, I will not take into account those assets which are acquired out of agriculture income. So, exemption was given under section 10(1) to me every year, and exemption is given to me today also on the accumulated asset value. ये समझा?
Yes, sir.
समझा
सर बट एक चीज
एक मिनट
if
कविश एक सेकंड खत्म होने देना प्लीज एक सेकंड खत्म होने दे कविश सेकंड if there are any assets which are acquired from the date of creation of trust to the date of registration of the trust, assets are acquired out of during this period assets are acquired. Now what happens is, since my trust was unregistered in this period, section 11 was not allowed during this period. Sorry. So during this period, I earned income. I was unregistered. Section 11 was not allowed to me. That means I paid tax. Then that income is used to acquire some asset. I have acquired some assets during that period, and उसमें से income आया था. I had already paid tax. So that means this asset cannot be again taxed today. Any asset that was acquired in this period, I've already paid tax every year because exemption was not given because मैं unregistered था. तो अब वापस tax मत लगाओ.
Yes.
And this will probably answer Kavish ka doubt. Any asset which is transferred on dissolution, this is a point specifically applicable to dissolution only. Any asset that is transferred on dissolution to a trust registered under section 12AA, even this will have to be excluded. Dissolution क्या बोलता है? All assets are not transferred to a registered entity then this will be treated under 115 TD. So if some assets are transferred on dissolution to a registered trust, then those assets are with me on the specified date. What is the specified date? Date of dissolution is the specified date. They were with me on the date of dissolution. Then in the next 1 year, I transferred some assets, but not all. But I transferred some assets to a registered trust. Then when you calculate FMV of the assets on the date of dissolution, do not include those assets which in the next 1 year I have given to a registered trust. That means I will include only those assets which were sold privately. बोल कविश, समझ पड़ा?
यस सर. वो एग्रीकल्चर वाला पॉइंट जो आपने बताया ना सर, वो एग्रीकल्चरल इनकम के थ्रू जो एसेट एक्वायर किया है वो भी ट्रांसफर करने की तो जरूरत है ही है ना. इवन इफ दैट इज नॉट ट्रांसफर्ड, still it will be accounted as a disqualification in this section na?
No,
मतलब on decision I have to transfer all the assets. अभी मेरे ट्रस्ट के बैलेंस शीट में ऐसे assets है जो मैंने एग्रीकल्चर इनकम से acquire किए, तो that also should be transferred, right, to another registered.
Those assets are unconditionally exempt.
Okay. So, if even if they are not transferred, my other assets are transferred. Like excluding these agricultural agricultural income ka assets, other all assets are transferred to the next to another registered firm. Then this section does not apply.
No, then those assets will not be taken into account. Assets which are out of agriculture income by default will not be taken into account. And other than those assets, balance assets you have transferred to a registered trust, then all those assets will be excluded. Now if there is any asset remaining, then you find its fair market value. If you are thinking that out of say 25 assets, out of 25 assets existing in the balance sheet, 10 assets are acquired out of agriculture income and balance 15 assets are transferred to registered organizations, and those 10 assets are transferred privately. Now, which will mean that agriculture income में से जो asset आया, that will all by default be exempt.
Yes.
And the balance 15 assets have been transferred to another organization which is registered. So effectively, FMV of asset will become 0.
Calculation में 0 आएगा, but I have contravened the section. It will be like that. When I have
so if you
made
have
115 TD applicable.
115 TD is applicable, but in terms of computation, your answer is 0.
नहीं, but क्योंकि 115 TD applicable हो जाता है सर, तो section 11 for that year is not applicable, right?
तो उस पे टैक्स आएगा.
नहीं, वो section 11 पे वो section 11 चेक करना पड़ेगा.
अच्छा.
If 115 TD applies, it does not mean that section 11 does not apply. In that year, you still have income from agriculture assets, तो वो भी agriculture income मान के 10(1) में exempt होगा. हाँ. And those
अगर समझो वो ईयर में मुझे डोनेशन मिला है,
मैं वही समझा रहा हूँ,
वो सेक्शन 11 में कवर होएगा. तो
मैं वही समझा रहा हूँ, तो बोलने देना. वो एसेट्स का तुमने क्या किया, जो डोनेशन मिला उसका क्या किया तुमने?
वो एसेट जिसका डोनेशन वो हम लोग ने अगर इन्वेस्ट किया है, like properly as per section we've utilized for purpose within the year.
You have given it to another charitable organization because of dissolution in that year.
Sorry, right. The asset, okay, yes.
So section 11 में you can still claim exemption.
बराबर.
Right.
So ये जरूरी नहीं है कि 115 TD applies तो section 11 will not apply. Generalize मत कर. That's what I'm saying.
Sir.
हाँ जी.
डिसोल्यूशन के टाइम जो भी असेट्स ट्रांसफर हो गए फिर उसके ऊपर कैपिटल गेन्स लग जाएगा ना?
If they are sold privately?
No, to that entity.
तो How will capital gains apply?
तो क्या अप्लाई होगा?
You have those assets.
No, I have sold to that entity dissolution के टाइम पर.
You have sold it to an entity.
Yeah, at the time that some asset to some entity.
हाँ, तो capital gains will apply. Yes.
है ना? हाँ, ठीक है.
अच्छा, आगे बढ़ो.
यस सर.
अच्छा.
Yes.
अब देखो, सबसेक्शन 1 क्या बोलता है? Subsection 1 says, notwithstanding anything contained in this act, wherein any previous year a trust or institution which is registered under 12AA has converted into any form which is not eligible for grant of registration under 12AA. अब this thing has been explained in detail in subsection 3. For the purpose of subsection 1, a trust or an institution shall be deemed to have been converted into any form not eligible for registration under section 12AA in a previous year if subclause 1, registration granted to it has been cancelled, or subclause 2, it has adopted or undertaken modification of its objects which do not conform to the conditions of registration, and it has not applied for fresh registration under section 12AA in the said year, or it has filed application for fresh registration under 12AA but the said application has been rejected. So this aspect, okay, conversion means it has converted itself into a form which is not eligible for registration under 12AA. इस चीज का मतलब क्या हुआ? That it is already a registered trust and its registration has been cancelled. Or second situation, it is a registered trust, it has modified its objectives and not made the application within the time limit of 30 days. Or third situation, it is a registered trust, it has adopted modification, it has modified its objectives, it has applied for registration also, fresh registration, re-registration, but that application has been rejected. Now it is no longer a charitable trust registered under 12AA. ये सबसेक्शन 3 समझ पड़ा?
यस सर.
Are you sure subsection 3 clear?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Subsection 4 क्या बोलता है? Notwithstanding the fact that no income tax is payable by a trust on its total income computed in accordance with the provisions of this act, the tax on accreted income under subsection 1 shall be payable by this trust or institution. I think we've discussed this. Subsection 5. Now, this subsection 5 talks about the time limit. Now, whoever is the principal officer or the trustee and the trust institution itself shall be liable to pay the tax on accreted income, the maximum marginal rate of tax वाला जो tax है, within 14 days from clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5. अच्छा, तो रिवर्स चलते हैं. Clause 5 क्या है? Clause 5 is the date on which the period of 12 months as referred to in clause number C of subsection 1 expires. What is subsection 1 का clause C? Subsection 1 of clause C is talking about the dissolution वाला case.
यस.
अब dissolution जिस दिन हुआ, on the day when dissolution happened, find out the month end and add another 12 months. So you will get a particular date. Up to that date, if all assets are not transferred, then 115 TD will apply.
Yes.
So subsection 5 is now telling you that within 14 days within 14 days from the date on which the period of 12 months referred to in clause C expires. So if I am going for the option of dissolution, trust got dissolved today. क्या है आज? 11th, 12th?
12.
12th June 2020. So that means end of the month, June 2020, 30th June. Add another 12 months,
14.
which is 30th June 2021. From this date, I am given a time limit of 14 days to pay the tax on that accreted income. ये समझा तुमको?
यस सर.
ओके. पॉइंट 4. अच्छा, एक और चीज क्लैरिफाई कर लेता हूँ. चलो, I'll jump a bit and I'll say for the purpose explanation पढ़ रहा हूँ मैं at the end. For the purpose of this section, sub point 2, specified date means date of conversion, date of merger, date of dissolution. ठीक है?
यस सर.
अब why did I read this? This is my date of dissolution. So date of dissolution is the specified date. Find the fair market value of assets on this specified date. You don't have to pay tax on dissolution. You don't have to pay this tax on dissolution. You don't have to pay this tax on 12th of June. You may or may not have to pay this tax, because if you sell all your, if you transfer all your assets to a registered entity, so this tax will not apply. If you transfer all your assets to an entity registered under 12AA, so this tax will not apply. So 115TD will apply if up to 30 June 2021 you have not been able to transfer all your assets. Then in the next 14 days, do your calculation of accreted income, but do not find the real-time fair market value when you are doing valuation. You have to find the fair market value of the assets on the date of dissolution. That is 12 June 2020. You have to pay the tax in the next 14 days. So practically on 30th June 2021, you will come to know that I have not transferred all my assets to that entity in that span of 12 months. So now 115TD is applicable. In the next 14 days, I will do the computation, but I'll have to take the market value on the date of dissolution. Guys, clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we were reading subsection 5. Within 14 days, clause number 5 is already done. Now clause 4. Within 14 days from the date of merger in a case referred to in clause B of subsection 1. So when merger happens, when you are merging into another entity which is unregistered or which does not have similar objects, date of merger is specified date. So you have to find the fair market value on that specified date, on the date of merger. And then in the next 14 days, you have to pay the tax. The complicated part. Case of conversion. Within 14 days from point number 1, the date on which subpoint A, the period for filing appeal under section 253 against the order cancelling the registration expires and no appeal has been filed by the trust or institution, or the order in any appeal confirming the cancellation of registration is received by the trust in a case referred to in clause 1 of subsection 3. Let's go back. Subsection 3 clause 1 says registration has been cancelled. If registration has been cancelled, either I will accept that cancellation and not file any appeal. Now the time limit to file the appeal is 60 days, 60 days. Commissioner cancels the registration. So you cannot file an appeal to CIT appeals. They are at the same level. commissioner and commissioner appeals. So you will straight away go to IT80. For filing an appeal with IT80, you will have a time limit of 60 days from the end of the month. So the month in which CIT cancelled your registration, from the end of that month, you have 60 days. In that 60 days, appeal has not been filed and the time limit has expired. Then the date on which that period of filing appeal expires and you have not filed an appeal, matlab the 60 days time limit expires. From that date, you have another 14 days. Meaning what has happened? CIT cancelled my registration. I did not do anything, so I accepted that registration. Sorry, I accepted the cancellation. Government will wait for the assessees, the trust ka right of appeal. The trust can still file an appeal within 60 days. So government will not straight away apply 115 TD when registration is cancelled, because this cancellation can be challenged at IT80 and IT80 may give a judgment in favor of the trust.
Yes.
So we will wait for that time limit to expire. And in that time limit getting expired, if no appeal has still been filed, then it is crystal clear that yes, registration is now cancelled. Now, within the next 14 days, you have to pay the tax. Or suppose the trust has filed the appeal. Trust filed an appeal to IT80. Now the case is with IT80. You cannot say with guarantee that the registration is cancelled or not cancelled. We will have to wait for the IT80 order. If IT80 says that no, registration is valid, CIT was wrong, then to anyways this section 115 TD cannot apply. If IT80 also confirms the cancellation order, then that cancellation order will be passed by IT80. One copy will be given to CIT, the other copy will be given to the trust. When the trust receives the copy, from that day, we have informed the trust that your registration has been cancelled by CIT and confirmed by IT80. Now from that date, count 14 days and pay the tax.
बराबर.
Guys, ये समझा?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is clause number 1 of subsection 3, where the registration has been cancelled. Achha, now what is clause number 2? Objectives were modified and fresh registration was not applied, or fresh registration was applied but was rejected. Ab, how do I count my 14 days?
Date of rejection.
No, 14 days from end of the previous year in a case referred to in subclause A of clause 2 of subsection 3. Subsection 3, clause 2, subclause A has not applied for fresh registration. अब ये देखो,
इतना कॉम्प्लिकेट ड्राफ्ट ही क्यों करने का, सीधा सीधा लिख दो ना जो करने का.
नहीं बट सर 30 days का टाइम रहता है उनको अप्लाई करने का. At the
Correct.
expiry of 30 days, they are certain that they have not applied. So technically, they should have paid their taxes after that 14 days from there, ना.
मैं करता हूँ ना जस्टिफाइड, ठहर जाना.
छोड़ना टाइम तेरा, तो तेरे को क्या दिक्कत है, ऐसे पैसे नहीं होते भरने को.
Provision का.
Subsection 12A. This says, clause number AB देखो. The person receipt of income has made an application for registration where the trust is already registered. He has made the application. The time limit to make the application is within 30 days from the date of adoption or modification. So once I change my objectives or I adopt new objectives, from that day, I have a time span of 30 days to make the application. Now I did not make the application within 30 days. I did not. So that year, section 11 exemption will not be applicable.
बराबर.
Now find out This is what is. There may arise a situation where I could not apply within 30 days. I applied later on and the CIT accepted my application. It is very much possible. जो condonation of delay बोलते हैं. So subsection 3 is saying, subsection 3 कौन सा? Now I'm back to 115 TD. Subsection 3 is saying that it has adopted modification and has not applied for fresh registration in the said previous year. The time limit to apply for modification for fresh registration is 30 days. But when are we treating it as a conversion case? We are saying deemed to have been converted into a form not eligible if it has adopted for modification of its objectives and has not applied for fresh registration in the said year. And that is why 14 days are counted from the end of that previous year. Kavish, तुझको समझा? We are having a harmonious drafting in the section that the previous year in which the objectives got changed and I did not apply for registration in that year, whether within 30 days or beyond 30 days, but I did not apply for registration in that year, then it will be considered, okay, I am no longer a charitable organization, I've converted myself. And from the end of that previous year, count 14 days.
Okay, sir. Understood.
Acha. Point number 3, subsection 5 पढ़ रहे हम लोग. Within 14 days from. Point 3, the date on which A or B happens in a case referred to in subclause B of clause 2 of subsection 3. अब ये subsection 3 क्या है? Subsection 3 पर
वो conversion वाला है.
हाँ, that subsection 3 says that if you undertake modifications of your objectives, point B says you have applied for fresh registration, but the said application has been rejected. So now if application got rejected by CIT, you can go to ITAT and file an appeal. Okay, why was this application rejected? CIT should have given me registration. Appeal filing is possible. So now, the date on which the period for filing appeal under section 253 against the order rejecting the application expires. The period of filing appeal expires and no appeal has been filed. वो date से 14 days count करो and pay the tax. Or if appeal has been filed and in that appeal the order passed is that the application that was cancelled, the fresh application that was cancelled by CIT is correct, that cancellation was correct, ITAT confirms it. So from the date the trust received the order of ITAT, from that day you count another 14 days and you pay the tax.
तो ये तो अब भी किया था ना?
अच्छा, अब अभी जो किया था ना वो existing registration का cancellation था.
और ये मतलब conversion का है?
नहीं. If your existing registration is cancelled due to any reason,
हाँ,
then also you can file an appeal.
बराबर.
Or second scenario, your existing registration is not cancelled, you have changed your objectives, you have applied for fresh registration, but that application has been rejected. Against that order you can file an appeal.
समझा. Got it.
Sure, are you clear?
Yes sir, yes.
मैंने ना क्या किया है ये देखो. Look at this. That is page number 9. Everything has been analyzed. What do you mean by accreted income? What do you mean by specified date? How do you calculate the time limit? So time limit में case of conversion, case of merger, case of dissolution, case of conversion में situation 1, situation 2, situation 3, and what are the exact time limits? Once you read this table and take this table with the section, you'll be perfectly clear. The stuff that I did with you, we were reading subsection 5, then we went to subsection 3, then we again came back to subsection 5. By doing this exercise, I've made this table. So for your study, this table will help you. If you get stuck anywhere in reading 3 and 5 together, come to this table and find yourself in the table. You'll understand the point. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, चलो. तो the next time when we meet, we'll discuss it on the WhatsApp group के कभी lecture schedule करना है. The agenda for the next time will be that TDS amendments and tax rates of domestic company. ठीक है?
हाँ सर, डाउट्स भी डिस्कस करने थे ना.
हाँ, डाउट्स भी डिस्कस कर लेंगे. परफेक्ट, डन.
ठीक है.
ओके गाइस, चलो.
बाय सर.
बाय.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
बाय.